This is not a get-rich-quick video. It's not a story about investing, flipping land, or buying property today to sell it for a big profit tomorrow. If you're looking for a fast way to make money, you can leave now, and that's completely fine. Because cheap land is not cheap by accident. It's cheap because it's far away, because it has fewer conveniences, because not many people want to live there. No shopping malls, no coffee shops on every corner, no services available instantly at the tap of a screen. But that is exactly why it still exists. In exchange for that inconvenience, you gain space, not just physical land, but mental breathing room. You gain the freedom to choose your own pace of life instead of having it dictated by bills and schedules. And most importantly, you gain a lighter way of living. A life where mornings don't start with pressure and evenings don't end in exhaustion. If you're willing to trade convenience for quiet, then this video is speaking directly to you. Country. 5. Ecuador. Ecuador isn't cheap because it's forgotten, but because it has never been pulled into the global speculation cycle. Most low-priced land sits far from major cities. Infrastructure varies widely by region, and most importantly, international investors haven't flooded the market. Land here is still viewed as a place to live, not a financial instrument to flip. That keeps prices grounded, slow-moving, and hard to inflate. In practical terms, land in Ecuador, especially in rural areas or on the outskirts of smaller cities, typically ranges from $1,000 to $4,000 per acre. To put that into perspective, that's roughly a few months of average rent in the US, or the price of a used car with some miles on it. For many retirees, this stops being a big investment and becomes a life decision. What viewers truly gain in Ecuador isn't the land itself, it's the life after owning the land. The cost of living is consistently low, kid meals are inexpensive, everyday services are accessible, and you're not forced to calculate every small expense. Life isn't squeezed by bills. You can live on a fixed income without feeling cornered every time prices shift. Healthcare is a quiet strength that doesn't get enough attention. Private healthcare in Ecuador is affordable and easy to access. Doctor visits, medications, and basic treatments don't come with financial shock. For older adults, the simple ability to see a doctor when needed without fearing the bill is real peace of mind. Ecuador's climate gives you an uncommon kind of control. The country sits on the equator, but that doesn't mean constant heat. You can choose warm coastal areas, year-round, spring-like highlands, or something in between. Instead of chasing seasons, you choose altitude and shape your lifestyle around what your body prefers. Of course, Ecuador comes with trade-offs. Public services aren't uniform, and infrastructure quality can differ greatly from one area to another. Location choice is critical. Choose well, and life feels calm. Choose poorly, and daily tasks become frustrating. And the pace of life is slow, sometimes very slow, which won't suit people who need speed and precision. That's why Ecuador is best suited for retirees, people with fixed incomes, and anyone looking to reduce financial pressure in exchange for mental stability. If you require American-style convenience, instant service, and highly optimized systems, this may not be your place. Ecuador doesn't promise wealth. It offers something far more specific, a lighter life, if you're willing to live differently. Country 4. Albania. Albania is one of Europe's most interesting contradictions. Geographically, it sits firmly in Europe along the Adriatic and Ionian Seas, just a short distance from Italy. But in terms of land prices and daily rhythm, Albania has largely stayed outside the speculation wave that has distorted much of Europe over the past decades. This is not a place people buy land to catch a boom. It's a place they buy land to stay. Most low-priced land in Albania is found in rural areas, remote coastal zones, or small towns that have not been internationalized. The population is sparse, life is simple, and infrastructure is functional rather than excessive. You won't see luxury compounds or services designed for high-spending foreigners, and that absence is exactly why land here remains priced at a very human level. In terms of numbers, land in Albania typically ranges from $2,000 to $6,000 per acre, depending on location and access. In Western Europe, that same amount of money might barely buy a parking space or a small garage. Here, it can buy you real land enough to build a modest home, grow food, or simply own a piece of space without financial pressure hanging over you. But Albania is not a cheap replica of developed Europe. What you save in money you pay for in patience. Public services are uneven, administrative procedures can be slow, and systems are not fully standardized. Things do not run on a polished EU rhythm. You need to learn how to wait, how to ask the right people, and how to accept that systems don't always respond immediately. Because of that, Albania suits people who want Europe, but not its glossy version. It's for those who want to live on the continent at a fraction of the usual cost, and who are willing to trade convenience for space and calm. On the other hand, if you require high service standards, seamless processes, and Western European infrastructure, Albania may feel frustrating. Albania doesn't try to impress. It simply exists as a different Europe, slower, cheaper, and still with room to breathe. Country. 3. North Macedonia. North Macedonia is one of the smallest and least talked about countries in Europe, and that is exactly the first reason why land here is cheap. The country is not on major investment routes, there is very little international competition, and it is not a popular destination for global expat communities. In simple terms, very few people are competing to live here, so price pressure barely exists. Geographically, North Macedonia sits deep in the Balkans. It has no coastline, no major financial hubs, and no global spotlight. For decades, it has been overlooked. But for people who value stability over glamour, this becomes a clear advantage. Land here is bought to be used, not to be flipped. Land prices in North Macedonia typically range from $500 to $5,000 per acre, depending on location and access to roads and utilities. In many Western European or North American cities, that amount of money might equal only a few months of rent. Here, it can buy real space enough to build a small home, grow food, or simply live without constant financial pressure. The biggest thing viewers gain from choosing North Macedonia is genuine quiet. Not silence caused by isolation, but calm that comes from the absence of pressure. The cost of living is very low. Food, daily services, and basic expenses are all manageable, especially for retirees or people with fixed incomes. Private healthcare is another strong point. Clinics are affordable and easy to access for basic medical needs without complex insurance systems or heavy paperwork. For older people, this practicality matters far more than glossy promises. Another underrated benefit is low social pressure. In North Macedonia, there is little obsession with income status or lifestyle comparison. Life moves slowly. Communities are small, and simplicity reduces mental strain. You live within your means without needing to prove anything to anyone. That calm, however, comes with trade-offs. There are very few large international communities, so if you rely heavily on English-speaking social circles or multicultural environments, it may feel isolating. Entertainment options are limited, especially outside cities. Life here requires self-reliance socially and practically. North Macedonia is best suited for independent individuals who value peace over stimulation. It is not ideal for those who need frequent social interaction, vibrant nightlife, or constant activity. North Macedonia does not try to attract attention. It simply exists quietly, and for the right person, That quiet is exactly the point. Country 2. Uruguay. Uruguay is not the cheapest place on this list, and that is precisely why it deserves attention. This is not a country that sells quick riches or promises life-changing returns from buying land. Uruguay offers something far more rare: stability, clarity, and low risk. The core reason Uruguay remains attractive is its long-standing political stability. For decades, the country has maintained a solid democratic system with minimal turbulence. Laws are clear, property rights are respected, and institutions function in a predictable way. For many people, especially retirees, knowing what tomorrow looks like matters far more than saving a few $1,000s on land. Land prices in Uruguay typically range from $3,000 to $8,000 per acre, higher than in many neighboring South American countries. But this price reflects more than land alone. You are buying into a legal system where ownership is protected, paperwork is transparent, and disputes are far less common. In practical terms, you are paying for peace of mind. What viewers truly gain from Uruguay is a deep sense of security. Security in daily life with relatively low crime. Security in law where residency and ownership are not ambiguous. And security in mindset because society is calm, politically stable, and largely free from constant tension or drama. Healthcare is another strong pillar. Uruguay offers a reliable and accessible healthcare system with both public and private options operating side by side. For older residents, this consistency is far more valuable than ultra-cheap medical care that may lack long-term reliability. When you need care in Uruguay, the system is there. That stability does come with trade-offs. The cost of living and land is higher than in many other parts of South America. Uruguay is not designed for ultra-low budgets or extreme frugality. If your primary goal is to spend as little as possible, this country may feel expensive by comparison. Uruguay is best suited for people who prioritize safety and predictability over absolute affordability. Those who are willing to pay a bit more in exchange for a calm, well-governed environment will find it deeply rewarding. On the other hand, if your focus is the lowest possible cost, other countries may suit you better. Uruguay doesn't try to impress or oversell itself. It simply works quietly, and for many people, that quiet reliability is exactly what makes it worth choosing. Country 1. Thailand. Thailand closes this list not because it is the cheapest, but because it is one of the easiest places to live. This is a country many people don't choose to own, but choose to stay long-term. Its systems, daily rhythm, and social structure are built in a way that allows foreigners to settle in without constantly struggling with bureaucracy or cultural barriers. Thailand's biggest advantage is familiarity. You don't need years of preparation to start living here. Services are everywhere, daily life is convenient, and the expat community is large and well established. From major cities to quiet retirement towns, Thailand has decades of experience welcoming foreigners, which makes everyday life smoother and less stressful. When it comes to land, foreigners cannot legally own land outright. However, in practice, this does not limit lifestyle. Long-term leases are widely used, affordable, and legally clear. Many people rent land or homes in peaceful nature-adjacent areas at low cost without dealing with complex ownership structures or long legal battles. Residency is another strong point. Thailand offers clear and stable retirement visa options with transparent requirements and reliable renewals. For retirees, this predictability matters. You know you can stay, and you know exactly what is required to continue staying. What viewers truly gain from Thailand is high quality of life at a low cost. Healthcare is the clearest example. Thailand's private hospitals are internationally recognized for quality, yet costs are dramatically lower than in Western countries. Doctor visits, tests, and treatments are easy to access without financial strain. Daily life is also extremely convenient. Transportation, food, shopping, and personal services are fast, affordable, and efficient. You don't need to constantly figure things out. Life moves at a lighter pace without constant pressure. For many people, Thailand feels like a real rest after decades of stress. Thailand is best suited for those who want to retire or live comfortably, prioritizing lifestyle over legal land ownership. On the other hand, if absolute legal ownership of land is a non-negotiable requirement, Thailand may not be the right fit. Thailand doesn't give you land, but it gives you a life that is remarkably easy to live. Cheap land doesn't buy convenience. It doesn't come with instant services, one-click solutions, or the comfort of a fully optimized modern city. Cheap land doesn't promise an easy life by today's urban standards. What it offers instead are things that are becoming increasingly rare in the modern world. It buys you time no longer drained by bills, by the constant pressure to earn more just to stay in the same place. It buys you space to breathe, to slow down, to live without sharing every square meter with stress. And most importantly, it buys you choice, the ability to decide how little you actually need in order to live well and at what pace you want your life to move. Cheap isn't better. It's cheap because you're willing to live differently. Not everyone is ready for that trade-off, and that's perfectly okay. But if you've made it this far, there's probably a real question forming in your mind. What are you willing to trade for a lighter life? Leave your thoughts in the comments. If this video gave you a new perspective, hit like. And subscribe to the channel for more honest conversations about land life and choices most people are afraid to talk about.